A lot of you have been reaching out to me for comment on the pre-release that wasn't the local game store that had been serving their community for many years, but was too small to have enough room for players, so they used to host their events in a local library. You might not expect this, as you may be expecting me to be relishing the opportunity to roast Wizards of the Coast on this particular topic. Unfortunately, this is their policy. I've stood in support of a lot of stores in the EU and in Europe where square footage is at a premium, and having them lose their WPN status is just as crummy as this small store, and for these kids, which were used to hosting inside of a library. It seems like such a small thing to nitpick if you're Wizards of the Coast, but nonetheless, we have Guilds of Ravnica, the pre-release that wasn't. I expect most of you reading this attended a pre-release somewhere. If you haven't, basically pre-release is an opportunity for Magic the Gathering players to play the new set a week before it comes out. And it's hosted at local game stores. I'm betting most of you had a good time. You probably pulled a Mythic or had a fun deck. You won some prizes. Most of you had a chance to laugh and hang out with friends. And that's really what pre-release is about. It's about community. And just getting a lot of Magic players that I know, for example, we only kind of see each other at pre-release because we don't play a lot of FNMs. Life is crazy, but everyone used to, or at least tried to, make time for pre-release. Now you have these young kids that play Magic the Gathering, along with 30 others would have been at a pre-release I regularly host at our local community library. But the Wizards Play Network shut down my pre-release. The situation is pretty straightforward. I went to my local card store. I'm excluding the name, over 8 years ago and offered to be the TO for the store. The store itself is tiny. There's a row of glass cases that feature mostly baseball cards with Magic packs and other products on the shelves along the walls. The store is simply too small to host any tournaments. This means that all the store tournaments were held and were always held at our local library. This had worked out really well for everyone involved. I was able to host a pre-release at the library for the neighborhood kids and a few of the surrounding towns. We do relatively small events, virtually always capping out our attendance at 36 players. I sent out an email to all regular players and their parents over a month ahead of the pre-release, and I'm sold out long before the date. The store owner had a store with a WPN. So his store was listed on Wizards' website, and he received all the perks WPN store gets. Buy a box promos from the Vault sets, Commander Anthology, and the like. Many of the WPN perks are items with extremely limited supply and higher profit margins. This was a boon for the store. The library loves the setup. They let us play for free. We have the best attended program at the library and one of the longest running programs as well. They love having children in the library, even if it's led several of the children. It's even led several of the children to take out books and read. The kids like having a place to play nearby where they can play with their friends. I give out deck boxes, playmats, and dice. The friends I play Magic with have extensive collections, so most of the times the newer, young players all walk out with hundreds of cards from our collections. I want everyone to win at least one pack, so even the newer players who are 0-3 are still fighting for a chance to win a pack. Anyway, a couple of months ago, I got an email from WPN requesting a re-verification. They wanted a video walkthrough of the store to update their records. We contacted WPN and explained none of the events we ran were at the store and asked if they would prefer a video of the local library. The video of the store seemed pointless, especially since there are no play area or public bathroom in the store that small. They wanted both, so a week later we submitted. 2 weeks later, we received an email. Your store's WPN account is deactivated due to not having a dedicated play space available for 12 players and not having a space to create one. WPN standards require a dedicated play space for 12 players. We were surprised that we would lose our status over this. We expected that we might have been asked to upgrade something or improve something to keep our WPN status, but deactivation seemed harsh. I wrote a long email back to WPN appealing their decision. Okay. I know some friends inside WOTC offered their support, vouching for me that I was doing it at the library, and all fell on deaf ears. The reply: to be upfront, we will not be reactivating your store's WPN account. If the store were able to have a dedicated play space that is suitable for at least 12 players, we would reconsider. WPN guidelines are aimed at enforcing standards that ensure consistency among other qualities that we feel are important to player experience. Now, this is freaking absurd, okay? I can't think of a better place to get young Magic players into than a library. Okay, these are dinosaurs. Young kids, teenagers, and people in their, millennials don't go to libraries anymore. Everything's online, and there is a wealth of knowledge inside local libraries. Now, this is the policy. This is the Wizards of the Coast policy that has been uniformly enforced in many small local game stores, including local game stores in Europe that are too small but hold tournaments off-site. This is, in my opinion, a dumb policy, a policy that should be an easy exception. If you can prove to Wizards of the Coast that you have a dedicated play space for your events, like a local library or like a conference room at a hotel, what's the difference? I mean, is it any different than a Grand Prix renting out a space? I mean, it's not technically a local game store, right? So if you have a spot that you can prove you have ready access to, and you're able to, sufficiently prove that you can use it when you want, and it has the bathrooms and everything else you need, what's the big deal? In the article, it continues, the idea that there should be a bathroom makes sense. The idea for 12 people makes sense. I'd love to see clean bathrooms everywhere I go. My store, however, doesn't run tournaments in the store, so forcing these guidelines on them is pointless. I reminded WPN that these are guidelines, something by definition that are meant to guide, not rule. I spoke to the next person up in chain and explained the situation again with the same result. I suggested the guidelines be changed to read locations where WPN events are played. And this is, I agree with this. Why should it matter that much? If you have a safe environment to play Magic the Gathering that has bathrooms and is clean, what difference does it make? Now, maybe you could argue that then these stores shouldn't get like maybe all the other WPN perks. Okay, maybe. Because you can't host regular FNM, you shouldn't have FNM promos. Maybe. Unless you can prove that you're hosting FNM at this other place, at a library, at a school, at an open conference center, something like that. They say, it amazes me that WPN guidelines that could easily be changed to be better than they currently are, have a scenario where young players aren't getting to play in a pre-release. The library pre-release is a good thing that provides young players a chance to play in a pre-release. And WPN, even with encouragement from other parts of Wizards, doesn't recognize this. I appreciate wanting consistency, but different can be good too. Consistency means no split cards. Consistency means no double-sided cards. It means no planeswalkers. What was happening at the library was producing planeswalkers for years to come, along with profit for Wizards right now. One of the 36 children who would have attended the Libraries Guild of Ravnica pre-release, about half of them will go to pre-release elsewhere. The remaining children will be missing out. Oh, of the 36 children. Wizards has reached out. Update. The same day this article went live. Imagine my shock. They've offered to send product to make the tournament happen for the children at the library. They also offered to help facilitate getting together with a new store. One of the difficulties in working with WPN stores is allotments are based on previous pre-release numbers. If the store were suddenly to offer another pre-release and request 36 more packs, WPN will give a handful of packs, which would mean the store would be very limited. If I was to get 36, WPN has offered to help us with some of the allotments, so everyone is getting all the pre-release packs they need. This will go a long way to setting up the library for the next pre-release. So, while WPN is still unwilling to change their guidelines, the children that were affected will not suffer. I'll be sure to post pictures after the tournament is run. And you see these, I don't understand these topics. This reeks of anti-WOTC agenda comments and smear tactics. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just used to so used to people complaining about Wizards, but the whole thing reads, "Ooh, woe is me. WOTC is attacking little children, and they are heartless monsters." Good on them for reaching out and trying to settle this before you and the rabid fanboys turn this into a PR nightmare for the company. Keep up the good word. I don't understand. Look at all these people are attacking. Get over yourself. There are rules for a reason. Who has liability for these children people at the event? Is your library? Is it you? Is it WPN? You want to support a store and pay and play more. Urge the cat to get a larger play space. Bitching about we broke the rules for 8 years. How come it's got to stop is just sad. Okay. They're not wrong. Again, I'm torn. I'm not torn. If you can prove that you have a reliable play space available to host events that meets all WPN standards, I see no reason that you can't host events. Business real estate isn't cheap, and a lot of these stores already run on razor-thin margins. Yes, he was breaking the rules. Yes, Wizards was fully in the right to withdraw their WPN status. However, I would like to see some flexibility for this situation, as well as other situations like in Europe where floor space is really difficult to find. I don't know. What do you think? Are the rules, or do you think that they should make exceptions? I get that when you make an exception, then you create all sorts of other work, and that is a slippery slope too. It's a tough spot, but let me know. Is it for the kids, or are rules rules? I look forward to reading your comments in the comment section down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.